In this video, we'll be finding derivatives of inverse trig functions, specifically arcsecant x and arccotangent x. Let's do arcsecant x first. We'll let y equal arcsecant x. And then if we take the secant of both sides, we have secant y equals secant arcsecant x. Simplify here, we have secant y is equal to x. Now we can differentiate. The derivative of secant y is secant y tangent y. Dy. And the derivative of x is just 1 dx. So we have dy dx is equal to 1 divided by secant y tangent y. Now we need to write this expression in terms of x, so let's draw our reference triangle. And we're told that y is the angle whose secant is x. So y is my angle, and the secant is x means that the side adjacent is 1 and the hypotenuse is x. So again, I'm going to need to use absolute values around this x because it's the hypotenuse. So in order to find our expression, we need to get an expression for this vertical side. That'll be the square root of x squared minus 1 squared. So now I can sub in dy dx is equal to 1 divided by the secant of this angle is x over 1, so I'm going to put my absolute value on the x there. And then the tangent of this angle is square root of x squared minus 1 over 1, or just square root of x squared minus 1. So we can write our rule then. The derivative with respect to x of arcsecant x is equal to 1 divided by the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. Now let's find our derivative of the arccotangent x. We'll let y equal arccotangent x, and then we'll cotangent both sides. And then simplify. So now if we differentiate both sides of this equation, the derivative of cotangent y is a negative cosecant squared y dy, and the derivative of this side is just 1 dx. So now we have dy dx is equal to a negative 1 over cosecant squared y. Again, let me draw my reference triangle. Y is the angle whose cotangent is x. I'll put y as my angle, and then cotangent is x means that this is 1 and this is x. So our hypotenuse then is the square root of x squared plus 1 squared. So I can sub in now into this expression. We have dy dx is equal to a negative 1 over, and my cosecant here, let me put that over on the side, cosecant squared of our angle is going to be square root of x squared plus 1 over 1, and then that's squared. So it's just going to be x squared plus 1. So in the bottom I have x squared plus 1. So if we write that as a rule, then the derivative with respect to x of our cotangent x is equal to a negative 1 over x squared plus 1.